Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2024 post-apocalyptic action film Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. The film is co-written and directed by George Miller and it stars Anya Taylor-Joy as Furiosa. We have Chris Hemsworth, Tom Burke, Alia Brown, and it's essentially an origin story for the character Furiosa, who we first met in Mad Max Fury Road, and she was played in that movie by Charlize Theron. This time round, she's played by Anya Taylor-Joy, and we see how she ends up eventually working with Immortan Joe. She's kidnapped as a child, and initially she ends up in the custody of Dr. Dementus, played by Chris Hemsworth, who is a wasteland warlord. He's absolutely brutal, unforgiving, and Furiosa has every reason to hate and despise him. She ends up being one of Immortan Joe's best warriors on the war rigs. She holds a personal grudge against Dr. Dementus, and a war breaks out between Dr. Dementus's crew and Immortan Joe's crew, in which Furiosa gets heavily involved. Right. What are my thoughts on Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga? Well, I think like many, and I am being absolutely honest here, when I heard that George Miller was doing a Furiosa movie rather than another Mad Max film, there was more than a little sense of disappointment from me. Fury Road was so good, one of the finest action movies I think personally ever put to screen. Just flawless, really, that film. And I've rewatched it fairly recently because I've revisited all the Mad Max films and reviewed them all on the channel. So I wanted Mad Max. I wanted a Mad Max film, and it's just simple as that. I didn't really watch any of the trailers when they came out. I didn't have a lot of interest, and when the first trailers came out for this, there was an air of discontent online. There were a lot of people complaining about this, the effects, blah, 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 blah. So my enthusiasm for the film was kind of falling off a cliff, if I'm being honest. And then up to its release, there was a lot of buzz coming about this film. It's a masterpiece. It's spectacular. It's on the same lines as Fury Road. It's brilliantly done. George Miller's a master. So I start getting interested again. And after checking this film out, guys, I have to say they're not wrong. This film is stunning. Another incredible movie by George Miller. I think because he's been involved in Mad Max from the start, George Miller, he's got a real clear vision for this world and the characters that live in it. And if you listen to interviews of him when he's talking about these movies, especially these last two movies, when you've seen him in interviews, you know, he has an understanding of where everybody is in the world and their backstories and all that kind of stuff. And he says he has to, in order to make these movies work. They've all got to be real people with real pasts and all that kind of stuff. And that's something that comes across so strongly on screen with this movie and Fury Road, is the world building here. It's on another level. Absolutely beautifully crafted, stunning to look at, and completely and utterly brutal at the same time. I mean, remarkable stuff here by George Miller. The action here is, as you would expect. If you've seen Fury Road, you know what you're getting here. It's I don't want to say it's very much more of the same, because it is, but also it's different. There are new, unique action stuff going on here that kind of is going to pique your interest again. Yes, you've got the War Boys here again, but you've got Dementus's gang as well, who kind of do things in a different way. And whereas the last film, most of the action was on the war rig, this time round you get quite a lot of the action at like Gastown and the Bullet Farm and things like that. It's not just on the war rigs, even though you do get a massively extended action sequence on the war rigs, on one of the war rig. And for the first hour of the film, you might be surprised to hear you don't really see Anya Taylor-Joy. You see Furiosa as a young girl, played by Elia Brown, and played very well by Elia Brown. So the film takes its time to tell Furiosa's story, so you absolutely understand her, where she is when she's an adult, what her thought patterns are, what she wants to happen to Dementus. Because for the first hour of the film, this film is Chris Hemsworth's film. His performance as Dr. Dementus is fabulous. I mean, wonderful villainous role for him, and he plays him flawlessly. I think he does. I think it's arguably his finest performance on screen, and I think that might be up for debate. But there's a lot of people out there, when they talk about Chris Hemsworth, they don't really say what a great actor Chris Hemsworth is. He, because he's done the Thor stuff and the Extraction movies. He's obviously a very, very famous, well-known actor. Well, this film puts him front and centre in regards to his acting performance. He's almost unrecognisable because they've kind of put prosthetics on his face, and he's got a big long beard, but he's wonderful. A brilliant, brilliant villain. A villain that you kind of love to hate almost, because there is a certain charm to him as well that you can understand. He's got a lot of charisma as this villain. And even though Immortan Joe is in this film again, obviously played by a different actor, because sadly the actor that played him in Fury Road has passed since that film came out. But you wouldn't tell, because the actor that has taken up that role, I think it's Lacey Hume, does a very, very good job as playing Immortan Joe. But make no mistake, the central villain in this film is Dementus, played by Chris Hemsworth. And then we come to Anya Taylor-Joy. Now, I don't think there's anybody going to deny that Anya Taylor-Joy is a fine young actress who, well, I was about to say she's got a fine career ahead of her. She's already got a fine career. She's, well established at this point, and she's done some brilliant, brilliant performances. I'm not going to lie. Going into this film, I had doubts that she was going to be able to pull off the physicality needed for this film, because you see her in interviews, and all I can think to myself is, my God, she needs a good meal. Beautiful young lady, but skinny. I mean, if she smiles, you can almost see through her. So I was like, how is she going to pull off this physicality? And do you know what? She absolutely knocks it out of the park. Blew me away with her performance, which is more physical, more of a physical performance than anything from her, which is odd when you consider, you've got Chris Hemsworth here, who gives a wonderful acting performance as well as some physicality, and you've got Anya Taylor-Joy that just nails the physical side of this role, and she's got not a lot of dialogue here. It's very Mad Max-like in regards to its heroes. They don't have a lot to say in the Mad Max films, the heroes, and Furiosa's no different. But she really, really nails it, and you buy her badassness. She really is very, very good here. And there is, for Mad Max fans, there is almost a Mad Max type character here. Praetorian Jack is called. Now, he is primarily the driver of the war rig. And he's very, very capable. And he looks a little bit like Max. And he dresses a little bit like Max. And he kind of teaches Furiosa, how to survive and take care of herself and all this kind of stuff. And they end up kind of becoming an item. And all I kept thinking is, when there's a massive action sequence with the war rig with him and Furiosa and the war boys, all I kept thinking is, this feels like Fury Road, because he reminded me so much of Max. So I think the film delivers here. Action, you've got it, and you've got it in spades, and it's fabulously done. World building, forget about it, it's amazing. The way the film looks is stunning. The performances are memorable. And it is definitely a wonderful addition to this Mad Max saga. And I was very, very happy when I came out from watching this film. So, check it out, guys. It's a brilliant addition to the Mad Max franchise. All I'm going to say to George Miller is, can we please have another Mad Max film now? Because these new modern Mad Max films are just stunning. And I would very much like to see another Mad Max film. And I'm not going to lie, I would very much like. I mean, if he's not going to bring Tom Hardy back as Mad Max, which he obviously can, I would love to see an old man Mad Max film with Mel Gibson. How cool would that be? But yeah, thanks for checking out this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be back, of course, with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.